Anviti, just wanted to give you a quick background on the kind of people who will be joining us today.
Sure.
So we had spoken briefly on the call about this. So we have this GEMS initiative where we have new joinees in company who are maybe 2 years in the system and little bit above. So we have invited them as well to understand how and things and get inspired by your process and your amazing journey. So just wanted to give a quick
Okay.
for that. Yeah.
Sounds good. So
And
it's mostly people with 2 years of experience. Did you say that somewhere around that range? Okay.
some of them and some of them are
Okay.
like older people like me who have been in the system forever. So I've been with Persistent for almost 8 years now. I completed
Okay.
eight last yesterday,
Very
but I
nice.
think such stories continue to inspire us all the time. I hear uh, it never ceases to excite us. So I think
Completely.
we can start. I'll let Rutushri,
Yes. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you for setting the context and welcoming Anviti. So, hi everyone. I'm Rutushri Sapre. I'm from the marketing team, and I welcome you all to the second episode of the Women in Tech series. We've started this series with a commitment to bring forth women leaders making a mark in the field of technology. You may wonder why we chose to feature women leaders. Well, let us call spade a spade. We know that women are underrepresented in the tech sector and as a result also less visible, especially in leadership roles. With this series, we aim to let inspiring success stories led by powerful women take center stage, which you will witness today, and motivate young talent to make the right career choices. Leaders, as they say, are instrumental in building an environment that enables diversity and inclusion at a workplace. Such a culture inculcates a sense of belonging among the workforce and enhances an organization's ability to innovate and develop new solutions. And today, it is my pleasure, and we're thrilled to have with us a leader who strives to achieve just that. But before we introduce our esteemed guest, here is a small reminder to all our attendees to add your questions in the Q&A box, and we shall try to cover as many as possible along with the ones we received when we shared the survey. We will also be recording this session. I would now like to introduce Swaroop Gokhale, the lead of D&I initiatives at Persistent, and our eloquent host for today. Over to you, Swaroop.
Thank you so much, Rutushri. Yeah, that always brings a smile to my face. Welcome to all of you. It is a pleasure to introduce to all of our guests today Anviti Shastri, who is a director leading the Guidehouse Software Engineering Department. An advocate of agile technologies, Anviti likes to lean on process innovation to reduce redundancies and keep the focus on the real problem. Driven by long term vision, product strategy, and operational excellence, Anviti is data driven and she is a customer obsessed technology leader. I have a background in psychology and I can vouch for a fact that customer obsessed is actually a great compliment to have. Another thing that I am particularly impressed with about Anviti is that she's a lifelong learner. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. She has a master's in information systems from BITS Pilani. She has completed the leadership and management program and the executive perspective for scientists and engineers from the University of California, San Diego, UCSD. And in April of 23, she graduates with an MBA from the Michael Ross School of Business. Wishing you a very warm welcome, Anviti. We are super happy to have you with us today. Let us begin our conversation with some information about yourself in your own words. So, what does a day in the life of a director of software engineering look like?
Thank you, Swaroop. Firstly, thank you for that great welcome, Rutushri, Swaroop. It's a pleasure to be here and to be speaking with all of you. What does a day in what does a day of mine look like? It starts early in the morning. As we know, it's become a very closely connected world. We live in a global world. We work across multiple time zones. My day starts around 6 a.m. because I start working with my teams in India. And after a couple of hours of work, I take a break for an hour or so to get my kids to school. There are more people to get educated in this world. And then once I get them out of the door, it's back to working with the team. Some of that work is likely around, challenges, risks, and issues and progress to be made on existing projects. Some of it is on higher level architecture, on things that go across projects. Some of it is likely on strategizing with business stakeholders on product roadmaps and what they're doing. A lot of it is on the team management, whether that's lately, I mean, we all are have been in the performance cycle. So it's about, how do we make a fair and equitable performance cycle happen? How do we recognize good talent? How do we work towards, creating a better workplace for our teams? So a lot of it goes into that. And then, of course, it's about how do we do what we do best. So it's around, process innovation, project innovation. How do we, so a lot of the thinking that my team is encouraged to do is also not just about doing what they're doing, but how do we do it better every time we do it. A lot of our discussions go into that. Lastly, I like to block chunks of time. I can't say every day, but in my week, for self-learning. The tech industry is a very fast-paced industry. If we do not learn, we fall behind, and it's important for all of us to keep stay abreast with whatever's going on. So yeah, that's pretty much a day or a week.
When does the day end? Sorry.
I told you it's a global world, but no, it is. It does go in. I am respectful of people's days, so I do try to end my day at a respectable time. I try to keep my time for my family in the evenings, but then I do get online a little bit later in the evenings, so I can communicate with my teams in India again and make sure that everybody's getting what they need to get moving on their work.
Okay. So long days, but balancing time between work and family. Okay. Innovation, self-learning. So you're packing a lot in a day, I must say. That is an inspiration for me. What do you do to rejuvenate yourself after this long week? So I am going to assume that this is your day, 5 days a week at least. So what do you do for the remaining 2 days?
Our family loves to travel. So we do travel at least a couple of times in a year, take a good break, a vacation. So I love to plan for that travel. So I love to research new places. I like to look at what's going on, cultures, foods, etc. So that's a big part of what I like to do in my free time. Other than that, at the end of the week, I like hiking with my son. We do board games. We do video games. We are a family of foodies. We like eating out. And then we watch movies. So it's really about unwinding with the family, with friends, and I'm a people person, so I like to be around people after work, but I like my own time as well. So I like to go for my walks and my yoga and just do that as well.
Love that. Okay, so work hard, play hard.
Absolutely. The play hard is important.
Yes, I agree. I completely resonate with that. So, Anviti, I want to take you towards your career trajectory now. Back in the day when you were pursuing a career in technology, I'm sure there were many challenges that you would have faced. We would love to hear any such challenging situation and how you dealt with it.
Sure. So, back in 2005, when I came to the US, I was looking at my options in working, and I decided to join a startup by the name of Medikeeper, and I really enjoyed the work there. I must have been among the first 10 employees in that company, which was very exciting for me because from a technology perspective, I got to build a lot of stuff ground up, like the nuts and bolts. So why it was exciting to me, because I could do things like database architecture, I could do system architecture, I could look at security, I could, actual development, then build the team from the ground up, build the product from the ground up, work with business people. So it was all very exciting. and even being on client presentations and everything. So it gave me a very holistic exposure. And I really, really enjoyed that. I did that. I was with Medikeeper for, I think, a good 7, 8 years, 8 years, I'd like to say. And by then, everything had stabilized. The team had stabilized. I'd got into the role of an engineering manager. It was more working on strategic stuff than active development. And I had an itch. I was not done with active development. I really wanted the challenges of being more in development. The team had stabilized, so I decided to take a change at that point, and I moved to another company called Provide Commerce, which was in fast-paced e-commerce. They had very big challenges that had to be resolved very quickly. And I decided to go in as an individual contributor because I really wanted to work on more complex problems as an active developer. I did that. Going in, I recognized that there were problems that people were not, that had to be solved to the point where, some of the things that were revenue generating, that were complex, that were big, were in a box that nobody was opening. And it gave me a chance to work on those things, to take up those risks. And I really enjoyed it. I solved some very complex problems. Personally, that was very invigorating. Within around 2 years, I found myself being recognized for the work. And again, I was back to being an engineering manager by then. But then the fact that I got a chance to go up that ladder once more made me satisfy that itch, which now I feel like I had a chance to work on complex problems in different domains, different places. It gave me that perspective, and I'm very thankful for that.
Anviti, that was an amazing answer. But let me paraphrase. I said, what are the challenges that you faced? And you are telling me you actually left the job when there weren't enough challenges for you and you went looking for another company which would put you in the same place as you were with the startup. So because you wanted those challenges.
I wanted those challenges. I think the challenge that we all run into very often is that we think it's a linear ladder. We think that there is only one way to go, but it's really what satisfies us. Because if we just
Mm.
assume that there's that one linear ladder, we always come to that cross point, where we are like, do we do this or do we do that? And really, we have to look at what satisfies us. Because if we go down a path that doesn't satisfy us, we are not going to be satisfied in our career. So we really have to find that it's what works for us. It's not what works for a per said story.
Love it. Thank you.
Course.
Uh, okay. So you had holistic exposure. You went back to a similar environment because you wanted more challenges. Uh, During this time when you were solving these challenges, you said you were an individual contributor. Sure, I get that. But I believe that, for any one person, gender agnostic, for any one person to succeed, usually there is always a support system. I am biased, I will put that out there. For a woman, it is usually a bigger support system that is required, just because, across the globe, if you take women, there is a bigger support system that is required. Usually, we say it takes a village. So, as a leader, as a woman, either or, you could choose to answer this question as either a woman or as a leader. What is the support system that you have built for yourself? Because the support system doesn't get built by itself, it is us taking that effort. So, over to you.
I can answer it both ways, Swaroop, as a woman and as a leader. As a woman, as a mom, I definitely need that support system. Actually, growing up, it was very interesting because I never grew up with that gender, understanding that gender bias. So for me, it was always like, you're an individual, you do what you need to do, and you do it best. That was my upbringing. That was my parents. They never, for a very long time, I wasn't even aware of, gender biases. So that gave me a very holistic individual perspective towards living. And From that point on, like even as I got married, as I had kids, had a very supportive family as such. So we are a family of equals between me and my husband. We both are very career oriented. We focus on our careers, we focus on our kids, we focus on our families. So that is my support system. I really we all have collective responsibilities, and that's how our kids are growing up as well. Mom's work is important, dad's work is important. Everybody's got their roles and responsibilities and has a role to play in this world. That's with friends, family, everybody. That's the system I have. At work, it goes the same way. We all have a team, and we have to rely on the strengths of our team to do our jobs best. And that's how our support system is. We cannot do one thing alone. Even as an individual contributor, I could not do my job alone. As a leader, I definitely cannot do my job alone because I rely on the strengths of my team. And that's how we build our team. We recognize that there is a gap, there is a space that collectively we are not able to fill. And that's why we recruit to fill that gap. So collectively we are stronger and the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. So really that's how, that's our support system. Our teams are our support system there.
Absolutely. I love that you quoted Gestalt, but yeah, other than that, yes. Um, okay. So moving on to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the workplace. My first question to you is that where, in which I want you to look at it from a leadership perspective. So when it comes to progressing in a leadership role, what do you think are the most important characteristics that one must either possess or acquire through their journey?
The first thing I would say would be respect. One needs to definitely have respect for everybody in the workplace, recognize different diverse perspectives, respect that perspective. But it's okay for somebody to disagree, but disagree respectfully, and then put your perspective across. Everybody has to identify that when we come to work or come to a team, we all are coming for the purpose of achieving the team goals, and we have to do that respectfully. The other thing I would say would be empathy. Empathy is a big one. Um, we have to be empathetic to different situations. We don't need, it's not possible for everybody to understand everybody else, but we have to at least have that empathetic approach towards each other. I would say teamwork and collaboration is extremely important for us to come together to get to where we want to be. And I would say to recognize the strengths in the team and to really be creative in the way we think about things. There's no one straight answer. And some people might say, I'm in technology, I just do A, B, C, and that adds to D. And no, we are technologists are extremely creative people because it takes creativity to build products and platforms and solutions and to anticipate problems that might come. So recognize that creativity and bring that creativity to your workplace to really collectively solve problems from a diverse perspective. I think it's extremely important to do that.
Thank you. I agree. Respect, empathy, and recognizing the creativity and the strengths of the team. I really love that one. Um, Here's a question for you from a leadership perspective again. How important is it for a leader to seek diversity and promote inclusive behavior? What is your strategy to ensure that employees or your team share a feeling of belongingness with the company?
Um, I think it's extremely important. We need to recognize the strength in diversity. It's extremely important for all of us to be self-aware, for leaders, of course, but for all of us to recognize our own strengths and then to recognize the strengths of the team. If we don't bring diverse perspectives to the team, we build a very unilateral team, which highly lacks in dimensions. That group think is extremely counterproductive to building strong products and teams. It does not set the stage for people to challenge each other and learn from different ways of thinking. We need to build on new ideas that build on more new ideas, and that comes by diversity. In our team, we have a very diverse team. We encourage our team members to share their thoughts. We keep an open door policy across the whole team. Our software engineering team is large, but at the same time, it's really an open door policy. There are people, all members of my team have reached out at different times. We have chatted, whether it's about their personal stuff, about something at their work, some thing that they're running into. And that goes across all the leaders on my team. We ask different people to run meetings, take different roles, schedule team activities. And in fact, we maintain this as a point of discussion even in our leadership calls. We like to celebrate life events, festivals. We form personal connections regardless of title, time zones, gender, race, nationality, any of that. It's really about having that personal connection within the team.
Personal connect. And despite the geopolitical boundaries and the team zones, time zones. Okay.
Absolutely.
Last question from the DEIB perspective, and this is for you as a woman. Women are often seen to be less assertive in the workplace, whether it is applying for a job, having a conversation about compensation, or asking for a desired project. One is, why do you think women hesitate to speak up? And second, um, which I think is the probably the answer to the first one, but I still want your take on it. Does it have unfavorable consequences even today?
Yes. Okay. The plain answer is yes. We women sometimes focus so much on the goal of the project or what we are doing or of the team, that we feel that a lot of women tend to feel selfish in thinking about themselves. And that is definitely not selfish. Um, we need to recognize. I brought up self-awareness a couple of times. I think we need to really be self-aware of our own strengths and what we bring to the table. And if we are not self-aware, that's one place that we tend to lack the ability to ask for what we deserve. And it's important to look back also at our successes and our strengths, and then use that to build a platform for what we deserve. I think, and this goes beyond women, I think it goes for every individual to have that self awareness. And for women specifically to ask for what they deserve. If we don't, it leads to a very dissatisfied environment for the person. And eventually, they might even decide to leave the job despite the fact that they didn't even ask for what they deserve. So it's really about us building that. And it's also a platform for us to set the stage for the future generations. We have to build an equitable world. We have to recognize that that's the responsibility we hold on our shoulders. It's our daughters and our next generations that are relying on us to do this job right. If we don't do it right, we are doing them a disservice at this point. And Rutushri said it in the beginning, let's call a spade, and that's what gets us forward. So call it like it is and ask for what you deserve.
I hope the women on the call are listening. Thank you. That 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 was a very honest answer. I appreciate it. Um, I will now go on to a couple of questions that are cliche, but I'm still going to ask them nonetheless. The first one is, in hindsight, what is the advice that you would give to your 20-year-old self?
A lot.
One piece
But
of
I'll pick
advice.
one. I'll pick one. Take risks. I mean,
Take risks.
I would recommend my 20-year-old self to take more risks. Sometimes the path forward cannot be seen, and that doesn't mean that there's not a path forward. It means that you need to lay that path forward. A lot of people sometimes see a problem and they're like, nobody's done it, so it's probably not a real problem. Nobody's probably solved that problem. So you need to look for that problem and solve that problem, because and take that risk. Sometimes, people look at opportunities, people look at things in front of them, and they tend to take the safer choice. Don't take the safer choice. Take what's exciting, because you live that one life.
So the road not taken.
Road not taken, because you need to lay that road.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. So I was a teacher in my past life. So everything that you're saying is just music to my ears, not the corporate self, but the teacher self. Yeah. So
I'm hoping my teachers will somehow say the same.
okay. So I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but this question has to be asked because we have received multiple versions of this question. Here it is. How do you strike a balance between time with your family and commitment to your work?
Uh, by higher focus, I think we humans are very capable of doing much more than we give ourselves credit for. By staying focused on my stuff at hand, whether if I'm at work, I'm really, really focused on work. When I'm with my family, I literally sometimes put my phone away. I've told my team, if you need me, call me. I'm not watching my email every minute because I'm really with family at that point. To respect those boundaries, I respect those boundaries with my team. I do not like to call them on evenings and weekends and their off hours. And we all give that mutual respect to each other. If we humans really focus on what we do, we can do much better, much more, and get to a higher productivity very quickly. So, higher focus is, I think, really how we make sure that we maintain those boundaries.
Thank you. Yes, focus and the boundaries, and then you have the balance. Okay. Okay. So there are a few questions that have come from the audience when we rolled out our survey. We'll take those and we will take others that come up in the chat box. So I have one. Let me just check the chat box. I think there are a few questions that might have started coming. Okay. While the rest of the questions come up, folks on the call, please start entering your questions now. In the meantime, I will ask the questions that have come to us through the survey.
Okay.
So here's one. I am a senior project manager with a diverse team. How do I build an environment to help my team thrive and get them excited to put their best foot forward?
Um, I would say think about the strengths of your team. Firstly, recognize if you have the right team. And if you do have the right team, then think about the strengths of your team and share the bigger vision with them, what you're really trying to build. Sometimes we leaders tend to share a vision and expect people to execute on them. And that's when we don't have active participants. It's really about building that vision collectively with the team to make them active participants, partners, and collaborators in in that vision. Build the vision, but help solve the problems together, because then our teams are active participants and they really are feeling their contribution. Help them see how they fit in that bigger picture, because all of us play a role in that bigger picture. We are part of the jigsaw puzzle that fits together. But if when people see that what part of that puzzle they are and how the picture is not complete without them, that really helps them see their impact and gets all of us, for that matter, excited about our work.
Thank you. Um, okay. Here's another question. Every manager has a vision and goals for their team, but the challenge is to take the team along with you without overwhelming them while keeping them focused on the goal. How do you navigate this?
So really how we drive that vision is like probably at a 30,000 foot level. And then that's how we start getting down to, really a strategy. In my personal opinion, a vision without a strategy is just a dream. Like, you can just imagine what you want, but if you cannot drive a strategy and make it actionable for the team, we're doing a disservice to our team members. So we really have to break that vision down to a very actionable plan, and that is the plan that we need to build with our team members. So we need to work with different team members or different groups of teams to see what is driving them, what are their incentives and what are their motivations, and build that plan with them, build milestones with them, make it very actionable. So once we do that, I mean, all of us make smart goals for ourselves for at the end of the year. Building a team and building team goals is nothing different. It's about making very realistic, measurable goals that we can achieve, putting our milestones out there and really changing that vision into an actionable plan. And that plan is something we build with our team. And then that's how we make it realistic, because then we are all partners. We are saying X is handling piece A, Y is handling piece Y, and we all have our roles to play. And that's how we make that vision very actionable. Otherwise, we're just doing a disservice to our team by drawing a big chart on the board and saying, this is how we'll achieve at the end of the year. And by the end of the year, it's still a chart on the board.
Yeah, perfect. So first the vision, then the actionable plan, and then you build the milestones with them so that you include everybody in the journey. Okay.
Absolutely. We are all in it together. We fail together, we succeed together.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Here's another question. How do you keep yourself? Okay, the question has been asked in third person, so I will ask it the way it is asked. How does Anviti keep herself skilled in various arenas? What are her secrets to both individual success and team success?
Um, what really keeps me motivated is the itch to learn, grow, and have a positive impact. And that means identifying areas that where I need to make myself grow stronger, where I feel like I lack something. One thing that really helps me is to be an active listener. I am listening to my team. I'm listening to people talking around me. I'm just listening. And when I hear someone talk about something that is not familiar to me or something that interests me, I jot it down and then I go back and read on it. Sometimes it's just a few minutes of reading, just informational. But sometimes it opens up a whole area which I take back to my team, and then we might formulate new strategies based on things. All of us learn like that. Um, yeah, and that's how I keep myself motivated. Was there a part that said something about the team, Swaroop?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Individual. So, what are her secrets to both individual success and team success?
Okay. Uh, I am personally vested in the success of each member of my team. If we cannot help our team members grow and flourish in their careers, we are doing them a disservice as leaders. And my team success is really built on, really aligning what individual goals are and what team goals are, and finding the commonalities between those. And if I cannot create those opportunities within my team for my team members to succeed and get to their career trajectory or where they want to go with their career, it's for me to find those opportunities within. We all work in big organizations. There are opportunities for all of us. It's really about working with our team members to find those opportunities. So they're satisfied in what they do and achieve their goals.
Personally invested in the success of each member of the team. I think that's a very powerful statement. Um, I will remember that. There is a question from somebody who wishes to remain anonymous. I'm a software developer with 2 years of experience. I'm conflicted between trying to build my portfolio linearly and become specialized in my domain, or growing laterally and gathering more diverse skill sets. How can one know which is the right path for them? So, yeah, I have seen this happen with techies where they want to, just basically focus on one or know everything about everything.
Yeah, it's a common challenge that a lot of us run into. And the question is, what interests you? It really, we find our successes only if we work on something that interests us. I would say this to everybody: find an area and find some expertise in that. I mean, knowing a bit of everything doesn't help us because we have not gone in depth into a specific thing. Because if you go in depth into something, you learn why and the hows and the whats, which are really important to build that perspective. Having said that, does one need to be a subject matter expert in one line or have a broader perspective? Even if you have a broader perspective, you need to understand one thing well because it helps you in that broader perspective. But beyond that, whether you want to become a subject matter expert in one specific thing, become an architect in one thing, or become a broader architect who knows a lot of different things, it could be either or depending on your interest, but definitely try to get really good at one thing to get that perspective.
Awesome. Thank you. Um, there is a question from Vedashri. Did things just happen to you that shaped your career, or did you have to actively look for and shape opportunities that made your career go ahead? Also, what did you do whenever you realized you had made an error career wise?
I'll take the first one. Did things happen automatically to me, or did I actually think that I went and explored my opportunities at every point in time? Um, did certain things happen by the way? Probably did. Sometimes we are not even aware of things that happen around us and things that shape our trajectory. And yes, probably certain things did come my way, but I'm always a person who likes to sit back and figure out the pros and cons of going one way or the other. So yes, I did seek opportunities specifically in my life, because I want to be excited about what I do. There have been times where I found myself say no to some very interesting opportunities, which are interesting by themselves, but not for me. So it is, it is really about you shaping your career. One has to take ownership of their own career because that's one that only they can own.
I think joining us another startup again was one such career choice that you made, right? Very consciously, where you wanted more challenges.
Yeah, my second one was
Hmm.
not a startup, but yes, it was a very conscious choice to go in as an individual contributor after having been an engineering manager. Yes, it was a much bigger company, but the fact that I went in as an individual contributor, that was a conscious choice for sure, Swaru.
Okay.
Yeah. And sorry, there was
Uh,
another part to that question, right?
yeah.
I
So,
missed something.
what did you do when you realized that you made an error career-wise? I think the prequel to that question would be, did you make any errors, career-wise? Hindsight, one can say, okay, maybe I should have done that, maybe I should have done this, so on and so forth. If that is the case, um, what did you do when you realized that you had made a mistake?
I wouldn't say there were mistakes. I think in hindsight, there were times when I allowed my career to slow down a little bit when my kid was younger. And that was not an error, but it was a very conscious choice. It did, of course, had an impact to my career to the point where, could I have gone further and faster in those years? Probably could have, but then it's about my priorities as well. At that point, I wanted to prioritize that. And at this point, I am prioritizing my career. It's always a balance, like we said.
Yeah,
It's not that one trumps the other at any point in time, but it's just the priorities at the moment.
absolutely. And there is always a time for everything. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have one last question. I'm a new team leader, where I have a lot of new female joinees. This is somebody who's a male attendee. He's asking, how can I be an ally in their development?
I would say listen and don't assume. A lot of times, men who want to be respectful and want to be allies assume that this person might not want to travel, this person might not want to take this project, or this person has a small kid, so they maybe don't want challenges. Ask. I might have a 2-year-old and I still might want that challenge. I might have a supportive family as a 6-month old and be ready to travel. So let's not assume on behalf of the woman. Ask and be an active listener. Ask them what they want, ask them what their challenges are, and work with them on that. That assumption is sometimes what turns us people from an ally to not being an ally because we're trying to be helpful allies, but not just assuming at that point.
Yeah, trying too hard and possibly not in the right direction.
Yep.
Okay, here's another question that has come up. Have you ever considered exploring job opportunities in other sectors? And if so, what factors influenced your decision to remain in the IT industry?
Um, have I considered, so if you're saying non-technical jobs, non-technology jobs, have I considered? I have considered, is that the question, Swaroop? I'm trying to understand.
No, no. So non-IT industry. So a tech role,
Non-IT.
but not in an IT industry.
Yeah, I definitely have considered. So if I look at my career trajectory, I started originally with Cognizant right out of college, and then I was in Siemens, and then I was in Medikeeper where it was health records, and so it was a very health and wellness company, but it was building the technology for that. Then I went to e-commerce, then I went to management consulting. So yes, my domains have shifted all all the time in my careers, and that has definitely broadened my perspective and helped me look at commonalities and strengths across those places. So yes, I have definitely switched my industry a few times, so I can't say I have been in that one industry from the start of my career.
Okay. But you have come back to IT. So you are more keen to remain in IT
I love
as
technology.
an
It
industry? Yeah.
throughout, that was the one common thing. I love technology. I think technology is extremely exciting. The problems that we can solve and the problems of tomorrow, the way of technology moves fast, I think it's extremely exciting. I can't imagine leaving IT, technology for that matter. It's an extremely exciting place to be.
Yeah, that passion is coming across loud and clear. Thank you. Okay. So here's another question. What drives Anviti to bring out the best in her and the people around her each day?
Um, Bringing out the best in me and my the people around me. I'm extremely people oriented. It charges me to see people excited about their work, about what they do, or even that passion and the excitement charges me. And for me to, then it is for me to create that environment. So, if it's almost a selfish thing at this point, because I'm excited about people being excited about that work, and then now it's my job to create that environment. Because if everybody is, not feeling great about their work, neither am I. So, that's what. But then also growth, like I said, a growth mindset is extremely, extremely important. So to bring that growth mindset, to feel like, to look back and be proud of accomplishments. And I love to do this with my team, my family, like my kids, to look back and say, see how far you've come. And to create that trajectory is something that I look forward to.
Awesome. Passion to work and growth mindset. Okay, so now I want to open the floor for people to share their experience or to comment. But before I do that, folks, if we can get everybody's cameras on very selfishly, I want a picture of all of us together. So, everybody, if you are able to, and if you're comfortable switching on your cameras, will you please do so in the next couple of minutes while we open the floor for everybody to comment? You can use the chat box, you can unmute yourself, raise your hand so that Rutu or Shweta will unmute you, and we can have people show themselves and talk. Over to all of you.
Can I say something? Sorry, the talkative
Absolutely.
person in me just can't contain all this. Uh, Anviti, it has been so inspiring listening to you, especially for somebody. I am at a middle career of my position, so I want to take that next step. So how to take? We always have that hesitance to have that next jump where you want to lead larger teams, inspire people like us. But so that was super helpful. I think I took away a lot of from that conversation personally. Uh, so thank
Yeah,
you so much.
of
Yeah,
course, sure. I'm glad something struck a chord there.
yeah, absolutely. Suraj, you can unmute yourself and please comment there.
Can you not unmute? Is that possible? Suraj, you can also type in the chat box.
I think he can.
Yeah.
Okay. I think maybe he's typing something like that. Uh, I'll quickly take a snapshot of our pictures, like you said,
Yeah.
selfishly. Uh,
I also have a question, it might sound very juvenile, but as a person who's in an enabling function, I often wonder, like, you're the director of software engineering now. So what does the next role look like for you? Like, where to next now? Do you have something that you have envisioned for yourself? We always get asked, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, if I may ask you?
Sure, Ritu. So I see myself working very closely again with people, but being able to uh, work in a way that we have a mature uh, product strategy, we have mature technology strategy, and to be really able to influence all of that, to be able to account for financial strategy as well as growth strategy into how I'm leading my team. And that's a large part of what I'm able to do now, but it's just about the scale and impact at that point. And that product strategy is something that I feel very passionately about, because I feel like product strategy and technology strategy go hand in hand. So to be able to get to that point is something I'm excited to work on.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll be looking forward to, seeing you do that.
Thank you.
Rutu, Shweta, are there any questions that I'm missing? Because I'm trying to check. If you can do one more check so that I don't miss out on any questions. Sorry.
No, I think we covered most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we, I think one question had an answer in another and another in another. So it was like a story. So it's
Yeah.
super.
Okay. So with
Yes.
this, we have reached the end of today's discussion and the time has literally flown. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Anviti, for this enriching chat and for sharing nuggets from your personal and professional journey. I'm sure all of our attendees are inspired. And here is my takeaway from the chat. Many takeaways, but I will put them as briefly as possible. Empathy, focus, asking for what you deserve, respect. And through the entire conversation, I was absolutely bowled away by how honest you have been. So, being honest and true to yourself and with others. Before we let you go, for the people in the chat, in the audience, please take a minute to answer the poll on your screen that is going to come up. Has it come up, Rutu? There it is. Thank you so much, Rutu. These are topics that we will cover in the next round. And if they are not here, please add them. But Anviti, thank you so much. I truly enjoyed asking all the questions to you and getting all those answers. I did not realize how the time went by. Thank you.
Amy, I
Likewise.
really enjoyed that conversation. Thank you, Swaroop, Rutushri, Shweta, for all your time, for inviting me to this. It was really interesting. I loved having that chat. It was like sitting with friends and chatting. So thank you.
Thank you.